2011 taxes, because last year their 2010 taxes were not due until January 7th.
Okay,
So
that
some
was-
of this revenue does include 2010 taxes.
right, okay.
And it doesn't include all of 2011. I've collected everything, but I think $25,000 is left to collect for
And
2011.
they're not on a calendar year.
They're on calendar.
It is on a calendar
They're
year?
on calendar year.
So what you're saying is somebody's late?
Correct.
Is there a
I thought
penalty?
12% interest
I thought
until
they
it goes
were
to
on a
lien.
July 1 basis, no, it's January 1.
Mhm.
Because I was under the understanding that the tax rate didn't have to be set before
Tax-
March.
Tax rate is set in the fall, just like a town.
Well, I mean, approval of the budget, I guess I should say.
Approval of the budget is springtime.
Okay,
So what is being appropriated in the next few months will be taxed on next fall.
yeah. Okay. All right, we'll see you,
Next week?
hopefully it'll be a short meeting, but
Yes, I have
Long
selectmen's
enough.
meeting at 3:30, so.
you got a meeting at 3:30? Okay. Well, it should be long enough so that if they, we have this to pass out,
Yeah.
I think it's self-explanatory. Yeah, they may have some questions, but you look at office equipment, it was 2,000 budgeted in 211, now it's 500 in 212.
Yeah, I just, we have the laptop, the only thing I
Yep.
can see breaking would be the copy machine.
Yep.
There's nothing in there for equipment, so
Yep. Okay, good, thank you.
see you next week.
Sheriff, you're here for a reason, I'm sure.
Yes, do you want me down here or back at the table, or what's your preference?
Wherever you feel comfortable. Are you going to talk about the contract for the,
Yes.
okay. What'd you do, get hurt? You limping?
I got a hip issue going on.
Oh, you've been out running too much.
Yeah, no, plus the cold,
Oh, it's a cold weather?
but
Stay off the horses.
my brother tells me I need my pain, so don't listen to your brother. I was given a tasking last week to make a recommendation about having the escape portion of that whole incident have some sort of an investigation.
Yep.
My office doesn't have the capability to do it because, for two reasons. Number one, our people are maxed out on time. Number two, they really don't have a thorough background with just corrections. So what I did is I contacted the AG's office in the New Hampshire State Prison, and I was looking for information about persons that could do that type of an investigation. And I basically had three criteria. They had to be a highly experienced person, both from a work-related and an educational standpoint. Presently not a full-time employee, and the reason why I did that is because if they were working in this field right now, they would have some connection, whether it's through the prison or the training or something. So I wanted them separated from the whole area. And then the third criteria that I had is that the person had to be able to do an investigation with 100% access to the facility and the persons there. And so what I did is I basically had four names. I found out two were interested, and I recommended Mr. James O'Mara. I don't know him, but I've talked to him on the phone twice now. And he did tell me that he has been here on some other matter having to do with the jail.
He came here and gave a report regarding a medical type contract that we were going to have with the jail,
Right.
and he was really opposed to it. They had been through it, and they say that this company would lay off people as soon as they got the contract.
Right.
And so they went back to doing it themselves. That's why he was here. Yeah. I think he's
So-
very well qualified.
Yeah.
I know him, and I've heard him give presentations in the past. Yeah.
Well, I gave you his resume that he sent me, and then we went back and forth as far as what the requirements would be. I estimated approximately 70 hours to include the time for the report and the presentation here.
Yeah,
He concurred with that. You know, we went back and forth on what a reasonable amount was. And what I put as the last entry was the suggested contract price.
$3,650.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And at the end of that, he would have it done, you know, my requirements were 45 days from the start date.
Yeah,
And then he would finish it off by a presentation to you.
yeah, yeah.
And the investigation would go directly from me to you. It isn't vetted in any other forum.
Mhm.
And I would suggest that it probably be a non-public, because under the 91A, if it has to do with corrections and secured facilities, yeah, it would
Yeah.
fall under that.
Okay, well, we can determine that after we see the
Right.
report and what he has to present. Okay.
So that's kind of what I did. I hope that was in the ballpark of what you were looking for.
Looking to spend money.
Hmm?
No.
And I would recommend it, and after talking to him about just some of the general issues, I think he is a professional. He did reference people that do this type of thing as a business. He doesn't do it as a business. He's the Amherst town manager, but I
Town
think he...
selectman.
Okay, yeah, town selectman.
I think so. I used to cover Amherst, and he was a selectman.
He's actually the town manager now.
Is it, oh, is he really?
Yeah.
Yeah, town administrator in his resume.
Huh.
So he said there is resources out there, you know, as far as comparison and that type of thing. I didn't do that part because I know they are out there and they are very expensive.
But he was involved in the House of Corrections in Hillsborough County from 91 until 2011. So, what is the pleasure of the board? Do we want to agree with this proposal?
It's reasonable.
Hmm?
It looks reasonable.
Doesn't have to go out for bid because it's not over 5,000.
Where's the money coming from?
Well, that was another question I
sticking
had,
point, right?
because I didn't budget it. We're into 2012. And then there may or may not be follow-on based upon what you decide to do.
Well, it's regarding the jail. It'd have to come out of the jail budget.
I did have cursory conversations with the superintendent about this, only in the sense that I said this was, you know, that I would be making some sort of recommendation. But the person that comes in here would have to have the appropriate support, you know,
Yeah.
meaning he can talk to anybody he wants, the
Yeah.
technology, the...
Jason was all right with that?
Yeah, he said he would support it, you know, as directed, but, you know, he would not have to be directed to support it. He would do it on his own initiative.
Okay.
Just have to find money.
Yeah, we'll have to find it in his budget, or we increase his budget by that amount, or talk to the subcommittee of the jail to see what they want to do.
It's there. The meeting is this week Friday.
Do I hear a motion to accept this contract?
I move to accept the contract. Second.
Okay, motion made, second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in support of the motion say aye. Aye, then so voted.
You can have this one.
Keep that at the original.
All right, now, do you want me to send this out and?
Yep.
Okay, because he's already agreed to it, and I said
Yep.
I would give him a call and
Yep.
follow up on it.
Yep. I had another question for you. I lost my train of thought. given any more thought to dispatching for those 3 other towns?
No, we haven't looked at those numbers. If you want, I can prepare something. I did hire 2 deputies this week. It's been a long, drawn-out process, and I would like to bring them up here when we get them,
Yep.
situated, and then, make the introductions
Okay.
to the board. And it's been a long process, but they're, getting ready to go.
With, but as the Commissioner started to say, or started with, this idea of the dispatch, we really have to look into this with regard to the 3 towns who presented a letter.
Yeah.
And let's see if we can make some sort of consolidation, and if that makes sense monetarily for everybody.
Okay.
Moultonborough,
Conway,
did I hear that Moultonborough is paying something like $180,000 for dispatch?
They have a contract with, it's called Lakes Region
Yeah.
Mutual Aid, which is a private, nonprofit organization that, does dispatching emergency services. Plus, they run a 3/4 time dispatch, of which portions of it are covered by state police at night.
Huh.
Conway does 24-hour police and fire, and as does Wolfboro. And we're the backup for each of those. With the exception of Moultonborough, they're kind of locked into that side, so they have a relationship with Laconia and
Into Lakes.
yeah, in Lakes Meredith. So
Yeah.
it's a confusing process. What would be my guidance coming from the board, like the cost associated with it, or
Yeah, what it would cost for us to do
to
it
do it?
for those 3?
The concept is we don't have enough personnel.
Right, and that's what the discussions were last week.
Mhm.
And when we talked about that, I said, yeah, I mean, we know today that we can't do it as a quit.
Yeah.
So,
But if we could figure out a way to consolidate everybody into one system,
right.
run by the county.
Whether they stay in that same location,
Yeah.
but we control them. I don't know if that's feasible or not, but since their equipment is all there,
Doesn't make sense to.
whether there could be something worked out where we could reduce their costs and not increase our costs tremendously.
Right.
I don't know.
The only county that I'm aware of that was doing a cost sharing was Grafton, and beginning this year, I believe they're getting away from it.
Is that right?
And the big issue there was Hanover, which is probably the highest property-based town, would have been paying a fair amount of the county services. However, they don't use it at all. Because, Dartmouth and Hanover and all those towns are, 24-hour locked in with the southern part of the county.
Hmm.
But they're actually dropping that, at least according to the sheriff
Oh.
there, so. And he told me it was confusing, stay away from it. So I gotta take Doug
Well,
Duttile's advice on
Yeah,
it.
well, let's.
The
see.
sharing, the money
Yeah,
portion.
let's
See
look at
what-
this and see how it works, and
Yeah.
if it doesn't, then it doesn't. But I think we need to look further into this to see how we can.
They may pursue it, and I think we need to be ready
Yeah, we
to
have to.
say
Yeah.
what it's gonna cost us if we do it, or what's gonna happen if,
Is there an indication that they do want to do that? Because that letter from Moultonborough, it almost sounded the opposite, like, stay away, stay back, we don't want to deal with you.
my impression was that it was sent out to the other 2 towns, and that it should be looked into to try to save them money
Yeah.
Oh,
on the tax rate. They want a reduction in county, they don't wanna do away with their dispatch centers. What they wanna do is reduce their tax rate.
reduce their rate,
Yeah.
yeah. Then we're into the cost sharing.
I think that's-
But, yeah, and then we're
Right.
into, well, do we do the same thing for inmates
Right.
that we house from their towns? I mean, it gets complicated if we go in that direction, and I don't,
Well,
I
we
don't
get
know
a
the
lot
outcome.
more calls for service in Ospey and Tamworth than we do for any of the other towns.
yeah.